there's a lot of interest within academia, but also in American society more broadly, on why there has been, on the one hand, this huge increase in income inequality over the last few decades, and on the other hand, the relatively muted policy response. That is, despite this run-up in inequality, we don't see, despite what our standard economic models would predict, an increase in tax rates to kind of buffer the effects of this. So what we look at in this paper is kind of one explanation for why policymakers limit the extent of taxation for the purpose of redistribution. And the explanation we have is something like the elite who form, the policymaking elite in this country tend to have distributional preferences that lean towards a focus on efficiency rather than equality. And the paper that I discussed today is an attempt at kind of exploring this idea in the context of lab experiments. So we compare through a set of lab experiments that extract from participants some measure of how much they value equality, that is, everyone getting the same size piece of pie, versus efficiency, that is, growing the pie. And we do this for participants from the Yale Law School, who will go on to hold, in expectations, elite positions in society, versus a diverse set of Americans from an online panel, an online survey called the American Life Panel. And we find that the preferences of the elite lean strongly towards an efficiency orientation, which, if these are the same individuals who go on to formulate policy, would be at least one reason why tax policy in this country seems to have a relatively relatively speaking, have an efficiency focus. There's no question that the internet and information technology has totally transformed the way we buy and sell everything. It's changed the way business is done globally, and in an enormous way. But I do sometimes feel like people become a little too enamored with the way that technology as a fix for all of the market's imperfections. As there are a lot of techno-utopians out there who seem to hold the view that technology will do away with any market frictions. It will get rid of asymmetries in what I, the buyer, know and you, the seller, know. It will do away with the bargaining costs. It will do away with any kind of transactional frictions. And that just isn't true. First of all, it may have a big effect on these things, but saying that it has a big effect on them is a far cry from making them go away. One does actually read stories that have headlines like "the end of asymmetric information." I don't think that is productive to have people making such claims. The second is the point that the champions of technology as a solution to the market's ills seem to be missing out on is the market is, on the one hand, a reducer of information asymmetries, and on the other hand, a way that I can actually create greater market frictions and exploit them to my own ends. To pick on one trivial example, one hears that reputations online will keep companies and individuals honest. Fine, now there's a market for the scrubbing of anything negative about me on an internet search offered by some search engine optimization company that just creates frictions for everyone else by stuffing the internet with irrelevant stories that push all the negative stuff about me to page 13 in a search listing. So on the one hand, we've reduced search frictions by creating more information about me on the internet. On the other hand, we've just created this totally pointless industry that does nothing but obscure this information. you.